tell your colleagues who are not here to be here on time, so we can disrupt it when people come late, so appreciate that. As you know, I've been rather acting like a dictator and saying you should not have any computers or phones, right? Today you're going to need your phone. To do specific tasks for this class, not to text or surf the internet. Did everyone get the correct message?
There's a car behind us that can catch me laughing if I'm on the books.
Okay. Yes, sir.
What if we listened to your example, we left it in our dorm?
You have a computer?
Also in my dorm. You said not to bring them.
I know.
You seem to be an extroverted individual, so I think you can ask questions by raising your hand, if that's all right.
Okay.
I think you can tell them that it's my fault.
Perfect.
Okay. Just a bit of a recap. Okay, we're several weeks in now. Just to remind you, we started out by talking about values. Education at Berlin is more than just information. We talked about the fact that you created in the image of who? Boy, that is a weak response. Thank you. You got the A. Then we moved into specific skills around studying, managing classes, your time, how to study, how to be an A student. You remember that? I hope it's working. I'll be putting some of those things into practice. I hope it's working for you in your classes. One of the things that also now we need to move to is to talk about how you use information. Back just after the dinosaurs died off and I was in college, it was very easy, very simple. I went to the library, looked at the card catalog, found the book, all the journals I needed were in the library, no problem. Much different today. There are many sources and ways of using information. And so, today's presentation, by Ms. Gina Clark, who's our librarian, and Mr. Thompson, who is an English prof, very interested in information literacy. Good, because it covers all classes that you take. What are your important skills that you need for success now is to be able to successfully access and use information correctly and know how to use it to your advantage. Because everything we teach, ladies and gentlemen, here in this class is about giving you the tools and the power to be successful. Do you understand that? Okay? All yours.
Cool. Hi. My name is Ms. Thompson, as Dr. McDowell said. First thing I want you to do is take out your phones, yes, I know, and either scan the QR code or go to Canva Live and enter the code AGBC, BM, and just choose scan. Once you're on there, I'm going to hide this in like 3 seconds. Once everyone's phones are down, don't worry. And you'll be able to ask questions at any point during the presentation. messages. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay. So again, as Dr. McDowell said, this is academic integrity, avoiding plagiarism, aka how to not get kicked out of school. Yeah. Okay. First and foremost, I'm actually going to, we're going to look at a video by Dr. Adam Keach. Does anyone have Dr. Keach in their classes? If so, you may have seen this video already, but it is a fun way of introducing sort of how to say things properly. And so we're going to watch this, and then we'll get into the rest of the presentation.
POs are actually fairly common. The thing is, they blend in so well to their environment that they're often easy to overlook.
Dr. Adam Keach is a professor of anthropology at Birmingham University and an expert on POs. He has been studying them for years and has even produced many of his own. But one of his favorite hobbies is discovering POs that were produced by others.
When you find a really well-written PO, the feeling is just indescribable.
Dr. Keach and his team of research scientists seem to be on the cusp of finding one. It is magnificent. There you go, buddy. Once collected, Dr. Keach brings it back to his lab for analysis.
What we're looking for are the telltale characteristics of the PO. POs don't borrow too much from other sources, and when they do borrow, it's cited properly.
Although POs are still very common, their numbers are dwindling. It is unknown how many remain, but
Just as a heads up, Canva does save your IP addresses, so all the anonymouses that are putting some fun things in the chat, Canva does have your IP address. If there's something inappropriate, I can give it to IT, all right? That's a warning.
Two of the greatest threats to POs are invasive species known as plagiarism and artificial intelligence. They use what is known in the wild as camouflage or mimicry, which can make it almost impossible to tell the difference between a PO, or Papyrus originalis, and a PP, or Papyrus plagiarensis, or even a PAI, Papyrus artificial intelligences. Plagiarism is just a fancy word for a specific kind of stealing someone else's words and ideas and passing them off as your own.
back in the laboratory, Dr. Keach uses specialized tools to determine whether a given specimen is a PO, a PP, or a PAI.
Turnitin has a plagiarism checker, and now, as of shortly after the appearance of PAIs, an AI checker as well. When a paper is submitted to Turnitin, the plagiarism checker scans the entire internet to search for matching phrases and returns a score. That score tells you what percent of the paper seems plagiarized. As you can see, single words by themselves, or even small phrases, don't get detected. But once you reach a critical cluster of words strung together, Turnitin scans the internet for that phrase to see if it is original to you or came from someone else. As you can see, 97% of the words in this paper are plagiarized.
Borrowing words isn't necessarily bad, as long as certain rules are followed. Rule number 1. Use quotation marks for direct quotes. Rule number 2. Cite the author, year of publication, and page number for direct quotes. Rule number 3. Cite just the author and year for borrowed ideas. No page number required. Some disciplines prefer using footnotes over in-text citations. Very well, follow your own discipline's rules. The purpose, however, is still the same: to acknowledge words and ideas that were borrowed from elsewhere. Some people, in an effort to avoid acknowledging borrowing, attempted to tweak a few words from a direct quote, thinking that absolves them from citation and responsibility. Not so, for they have merely avoided rule number 2 by following to rule number 3. Turnitin still catches borrowed phrases, even if words have been inserted in between. Rule number 4. Don't make the majority of your paper out of someone else's ideas, even if they are properly cited.
And just to clarify, yes, you definitely did just get rickrolled.
It can take a while for Turnitin to scan the entire internet. 7 minutes later, there, 9% is a fair bit better than 45% or 97%. And finally, rule number 5. Put the full reference for all in-text citations at the bottom of the page on which they appear, or altogether at the end of the document, depending on your discipline's established rules or preferred style.
Now, PAI detection is handled a little differently. Since PAIs are generated from scratch by a robot, they're original, just not original to you. So the plagiarism checker would be useless in this case. Instead, Turnitin's built-in AI checker scans the document for style, tone, grammar, and things like that, and it generates a likelihood score that any given paper was produced by AI. After all, the AI checker uses the same algorithm that produces AI-generated papers in the first place. So of course it recognizes its own style, tone, etc. Kind of like you could recognize your own handwriting if you saw it. So the algorithm is working for both sides. It writes your paper for you, and then it tells me that it did it. It's like the least reliable wingman out there.
Neither the plagiarism checker nor the AI checker are perfect. But they keep improving as technology improves. That's why the checkers are used as a starting point for a conversation with your professor before consequences are applied. To help you avoid that awkward conversation, Turnitin is now even embedded in many word processing programs, so you can check your work as you go. But just as methods of cheating become more and more sophisticated, so do methods of detection. Cheaters will be caught, so authorities encourage you to make a decision now to be on the safe side and help keep POs from going extinct. Thanks to enforcement tools and conservation methods, POs are winning the fight and reproducing more rapidly than PPs or PAIs. Won't you be part of the solution?
Keywords at Bergen University. There are 3 keywords that I'm sure you've talked about in this class. Think, believe, and act. Good. So if I can get this information. All right, first one would be think. I'm so glad that you brought tears to your eyes. That does give me warm fuzzies deep in my soul. So think, all right? Why is this a serious matter? Why is academic integrity important, and why is plagiarism serious? So in short, if you do any of these, right? So if you plagiarize, participate in academic dishonesty, you could get F in the assignment, which is par for the course for my classes. That's up warning. Being removed from the class, that is par for the course for my courses after your second instance of academic dishonesty. Being dismissed from a program or a school, yes, the school does reserve the right to kick you out. Because every time you have an instance of academic dishonesty, a report is given to the registrar. And the registrar keeps it all on your lovely permanent file in registrar services. And if that starts looking like, leaves and fall, there's going to be conversations. Now, it's not just going to be Dr. Downpour walking up to you and being like, good day to you, sir, or whatever. There will be many, many discussions before that, and hopefully we get you back on the path of academic integrity. But just as a warning, that is something that can happen. It can permanently affect school transcripts and academic records. There will be a notation on your transcript if this, again, is a repeated offense. Loss of credibility and trust with your professors and with administration. Lawsuits and legal implications, and there should be another bullet point there, my bad. Loss of employment and revoking of degree or credentials. We'll talk about this a little bit later. But let's say you in your first year decide it's a wonderful idea to copy and paste something from a blog post and hand it as a paper. Don't do this. I've had students do this. It is the worst kind of plagiarism. Don't do this. Okay. Why is it the worst kind of plagiarism? Because it's very, very obvious and it just other than being academically dishonest, which really annoys me, it's also just copying and pasting a blog post as an academic essay. No, that's not A to C to B. Okay, cool. So let's say you do that, and let's say you get away with it. Let's say you are a very crafty person, and you get away with it. And then 10 years down the line, for some unknown reason, this writing sample is given to your employer. And they run it through updated software, and lo and behold, they find out that it was plagiarized. You are not only going to lose your job, you are going to lose the credential that you earned with that, as well as any subsequent credentials that you earned with that degree. So if you graduate with a bachelor's degree, you go on for a master's and a PhD, you could lose all three of them based on a paper you wrote in your first year. Yeah, that's how serious it is, okay? In short, it's basically dishonor. Dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, okay? Just think of wushu anytime you get tempted to do this, because end of the semester will come, and you will be tempted to take shortcuts, okay? Just have like a Mushu sticker stuck to your laptop or whatever, okay? Dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, all right? If you haven't seen Mulan, my heart cries for you. Homework assignment, be good. So consequences at Berman. You could get a reduced grade on the assignment or examination, a reduced grade in the final course, an F on the assignment or examination, or an F in the course. At large, you could get a written reprimand, academic probation, suspension from the university, dismissal from the university, suspension of any degree already awarded, and withdrawal of any degree already awarded. Now, as far as I know, Dr. Downpour can perhaps correct me, I don't believe we've done the final withdrawal of any degree ever awarded. However, many schools in Canada have. It's getting more and more common, actually. So, real life scenarios, this one was one that really stood out. This gentleman went and applied for a job. He got his master's at the UC, went for and applied for a job at St. Mary's in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And at St. Mary's, they have a database in the library that they keep all of their faculty master's thesis and doctoral dissertations. And so as part of his job, he had to hand in his master's thesis that he had written for his master's degree. Nothing was caught by the U of C. Okay? This guy graduated, he had his master's degree, he was off to becoming a professor at the St. Mary's University. St. Mary's got their hands on it, and as part of their due process, they ran it through updated software, and they found out that a portion of it was plagiarized. This guy lost his job. He lost his master's degree, and I think he had a doctorate as well, and he lost that as well. Yeah. So he is now jobless, probably homeless, because he just moved to Halifax, right? And he doesn't have any of the degrees that he works for. All right. Chris Benz was appealed to keep PhD amid plagiarism findings. Kyoto University revokes its first doctorate ever. Another AI copyright registration rejected. Killing a doctorate. U of A Arizona's professor's PhD is revoked after findings on violent video media are questioned. Some wonder if mentors and co-authors are also to blame. Okay? So again, I cannot stress how important this is. And you're like, it's first year, whoop-de-doo. Again, that first year paper can somehow come back to haunt you, and you really don't want to lose your job with that stuff. Because fun things that you do in university, the ideas that you're forming in your first year are going to provide the basis for your research as you move forward. Right? And you may forget that you plagiarized something and then use it somewhere else, and then again, it's not going to be good. Okay. So bottom line, moralities and ethics aside, which morality and ethics should definitely be a question in here, okay? It's not worth the risk. It's not worth the possibility of losing your job and losing your credentials. Okay, let's see how much you know. 47, okay, can we get it to half the skin of your teeth?
It is so sad. It's because of you and Gerald. Gerald is sad. Will you find her?
Alright. It appears that we only got 47%, which means the Lord be with you all. And your grace. Oh, 48? Hey, 48. This is better. We have our leaderboard. There are 2 people that got all the functions right.
Yay.
So that's something. 48% class accuracy. All right. We're inching ever closer. All right. I'll come back to this and see if it's inched up there a little bit. But in the meantime, so again, based on that result, I would highly suggest you listen to the next few slides, okay? Academic integrity, what is it? It's a commitment, even in the face of adversity, think final exams and final papers, okay? To 6 fundamental values: honesty, trust, fairness, respect, responsibility, and courage. Again, the end of the semester is going to come. The desperate times are going to come. Don't do it, it's not worth it. Integrity is a Birmingham University core value. Birmingham University values transparency, honesty, intellectual integrity, and responsible academic freedom. If you want to know what that is, ask one of your professors. They will go on probably about a 45-minute rant to you. But transparency, honesty, and intellectual integrity are important for everyone, as is academic freedom. But like I said, ask one of your professors. We'll be more than happy to tell you. So, on the flip side, types of academic dishonesty. Now, plagiarism is the one most people know, right? And we will be giving a copy of these slides. We'll make them available to them on B2L. Okay. Yes. So this is the one most people are familiar with from high school, from teachers being like, do not plagiarize things, right? It's only one type of academic dishonesty, though. It can be intentional or unintentional, okay? So you can be like, I didn't mean to plagiarize. Yep, I get that. Been there, done that. Still plagiarism, okay? Even if it's accidental, it's still plagiarism, okay? Now, again, discussions, sit down with your professor, talk to them. They're human, I think. Yeah. So intentional plagiarism occurs when people present words, ideas, or data, including words, ideas, data from electronic sources. ChatGPT, anyone? Okay. Of someone else as their own. Unintentional plagiarism can occur when students present another person's words, ideas, or data, including words, ideas, or data from electronic sources, don't do it, without proper documentation. So examples of plagiarism include the following. Submitting for evaluation as if it were one's own work, an essay, written by someone else. Also, please don't submit an essay from your friend's class from last year. It's still in, turn it in. I can still see the entire essay, and I know it's just your name that's different on it, but again, so turn it in and say exactly. Just don't do it. It's exhausting. For you and for me. Text generated by any computerized means, such as artificial intelligence program. Usually you two are familiar with, or everyone is usually familiar with these two. And again, submitting for evaluation an essay written in part by someone else, except the entire essay were one else's work. Paraphrasing or summarizing words, idea, or data without properly documenting the source of information. Who here has used Quillbot?
What?
Bro, it replaces all your words. Yeah. I used that for because like if I write it myself, I like have to sound
And raise their hand. The two instructors. So some of you probably have myself as a professor and Dr. McDowell as a professor. And let's say we're both doing, for lack of a better story, the yellow wallpaper. And you want to write a paper on it. And you're like, ha, I have an excellent idea of how to save time. I will write one paper on the yellow wallpaper and I shall submit it for both classes. What is the grade you're going to get? 0. But nice hustle. Okay? If you do not have the express permission of myself and Dr. McDowell to hand in that paper for both classes, it is plagiarism and it is a 0. All right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you pay for this from invoice?
Because you are handing it in for two different publishing sources, right? So it's the same thing in the publishing world. I can't submit the same article to 2 different journals. I will get my hand slapped and then my reputation will be absolutely ruined. In terms of the nuts and bolts of it, I'm sure Ms. Clark has more information on that as to copyright laws and things like that.
At least my own copy. I'm using my own work.
No, you're handing it in for 2 different assignments. So again, this is one that usually trips people up. Alright? Now, if you have both my permission and Dr. McDowell's permission to hand in that essay for the yellow wallpaper for both classes, can you do it? Yes. But you have to get both of our permissions, and I would suggest doing that in writing. Right? Just in case one of us has a moment where she has too much on her plate and forgets things. Alright? So if I publish in 2 journals and the 2 journals know that I'm publishing in the 2 places and they're both okay with it, then that's all right. Okay? All right. I am taking way too much time on this. Keep along here. Okay. All right, cheating. Another one that people are usually familiar with, right? You don't look at another person's work during an examination or while completing an assignment. You don't use a cheat sheet, right? That is the stuff that you cog and then, bad things happen. One that students usually don't know about is collaborating on an examination or assignment without permission. So if you are in a class with a bunch of your friends and you have an assignment and it has not specifically been said by the professor that you can work on this as a group, and you all handed very similar papers, what grade are you getting on it?
Very similar.
Very similar.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and there's a question in the chat here. What if it was your own words and you don't say anything, but AI detectors say that you are plagiarizing? This is something, and AI is not what we're focusing on today. Are you doing a chat on AI or?
Somebody is.
Somebody is, okay. There will be an AI session, which will be glorious and fun, I'm sure. This is still something that we are coming to terms with in academia when it comes to AI and AI detection and all those fun things. For myself and my classes, I have a proof of progress policy. So everything has to be done in Google Docs, and if you can prove to me that you wrote it, you edited it, you worked on it, good. What is going to come up with AI detection? What's a common tool that people use that will come up with the AI detection? Don't use that one. This is one that the school allows you to use. Grammarly, thank you. Grammarly. If you use it extensively, it may come up on AI detectors. Okay? I saw a story of a girl who used it way too much on a paper and had to fight with the administration of her school not to get kicked out because it was showing up like an AI paper. Yeah. You can go to the writing center, however. I highly suggest that. All right. Misrepresentation. This is one that is more in Ms. Clark's wheelhouse. But basically, you've decided that you cannot find the proof that you need for your essay, and you are tired of looking at articles, and you are tired of looking at books, and you're just going to make it up. Your professors they have PhDs in these areas. They know the sources that are in these areas, and if you try to put a fake one in, it's not going to go well for you, okay? You do not have the writing style of a PhD, someone with a PhD. Heads up warning on that. Attributing an incorrect or non-existent information to an existing source, or misrepresenting source information. This one, the best example I can give is Kim Hospital. Anyone next to him, I love how Brick Flag plays football. And he cuts that quote down to him saying, I love Brick Flag, end of sentence. All right? That is misrepresentation. He didn't play the whole clip. It wasn't, I love that Brick Flag plays football. He just cut it off at, I love Brick Flag. Right? I made nannies my way through one of my degrees. So that is misrepresenting source information. So whatever you're quoting, it has to have the same meaning in your paper that it does in the source. Okay, so in that case, if there is a misunderstanding between you and your professor, what do you need to do? I would highly suggest setting up an appointment with your professor. Again, they are human as far as I know. The last time I checked, I didn't. Okay. If you cannot get if you can't get anywhere with your professor and you feel like you're hitting a brick wall, where do you go next? What's the chain of command? The chair of your department. Does everyone know who the chair of your department is? I would suggest figuring that bit out. Okay? After the chair, go to the chair next, and they will tell you the next step to go to and the next step to go to. But start with your professor. Okay? Start with a conversation. 9 chances out of 10, they're going to be like, I see what happened there. Okay, let's work through it. Let's figure something out. If it is truly accidental, again, there is a chain of command that you can talk to if you feel like you're not getting your questions answered at that moment. Okay? All right, types of academic dishonesty, academic misconduct. This is a lovely catch-all phrase that covers literally everything else. If you know you shouldn't be doing it, and if Jesus is judging you, academic misconduct, okay? But you know what I mean. So being a party to any act of plagiarism, cheating, misrepresentation, or academic misconduct. So, even if you just know about it, right? Selling term papers, permitting someone to copy one's work, writing essays for someone else, that is academic misconduct. Attempting to gain or gaining an unfair advantage over others by offering services or materials in exchange for favorable consideration. You cannot take your homework and slide it across the desk and be like, yeah, I know you've got to work tonight, you can just copy this. Okay? That person's going to get in trouble for copying, because that's cheating, and you're going to get in trouble for academic misconduct. Yeah. Changing or altering grades on essays, examinations, or assignments. I mean, if you tell your parents you got an A, that's not on me. Okay, that's between you, Jesus, and your parents, and good luck to you all. But changing or altering grades in terms of your academic record, in terms of your professors, that's not going to fly. Again, academic misconduct. Changing, altering grades on official documents, electronic or otherwise. Any act associated with obtaining and sharing examinations or answers to examinations where the examinations are given. Theft or unauthorized use of library materials. You cannot just walk into the library, take a book off the shelf, and walk out with it. That is academic misconduct. Okay? We'll see this later. And copyright infringement of published materials, print media, or internet. Again, this is more Ms. Clark's wheelhouse, so I will leave that to her. Good question. What if your professor is the chair? So if your professor is the chair, the next level up is the dean. Okay? Dean of Arts and Social Sciences is this gentleman right over here. And Dean of Science is Dr. Otieno. All right? If you get nowhere with Dr. McDowell and Dr. Otieno, guess where your next stop is? Dr. Donshore. Okay?
But if I can just, please don't do what often students often do, is they go directly to Dr. Donshore.
Don't do that. He's a busy man.
He's going to say, did you talk to your chair? So, follow the correct.
Professor, chair, dean, then Dr. Donshore at last class, and for heaven's sake, set up an appointment with his administrative assistant. Just don't go marching into his office, all right? That's going to do nobody any favors at all. Okay. Can you use AI in an open book test? Currently, the use of AI is not permitted on this campus, to my understanding. I know some professors have different into her paper as a block quote. She correctly formats the quote and cites the location of the original quote and the style requested by a professor. Is this academic honesty or academic dishonesty? Peter writes a paper on the challenges of running a bakery. He submits the paper for his business management class and then uses part of the same paper for an assignment to speak fundamentals. Is this academic honesty or academic dishonesty? President Coyne requests that Plutarch and Gale write and submit a new crop plan for District 13. PETA happens upon them while they are working and decides to help and contribute to the project without President Coyne's knowledge. Is this academic honesty or academic dishonesty? Pretend President Coyne is the teacher in this case. Alright, Prim creates a study sheet and flashcards with important terms and definitions for our upcoming exam. The morning of the exam, she leaves them safely in her room and proceeds to the exam. Is this academic honesty or academic dishonesty? And finally, Katniss writes to Plutarch that President Snow is power mad and full of bad ideas. But when Plutarch writes his report, he quotes Katniss saying that President Coyne is powerful and full of ideas. Is this academic honesty or academic dishonesty? Alright, let's see how we're doing. Oh, 92, so much better. Oh. Alright, let's see how much we can get. 91, oh, come on, come on. We want to go the other way. It's close to yeah, let's go. For an English class, you're sitting at a solid A- right now. Woohoo! A-, yeah. Anyone like A-?
I finished like the
Another 2 seconds and then we're going to move on.
I wanted to get to Ohio, so I went at 6:30.
Alright, well I will say congratulations. This result is far better than the last quiz, so again, woo! Yes. And on that note, 90%. Okay, I'm closing this before I can see any more. Okay. Okay. So I'm handing this off to Ms. Clark, who is a source of great information and is a wizard in the library.
Okay, you got the stick, now the carrot.
By the way,
You know what not to do. Now what do you do? There's some terms. Copyright. As soon as you write anything, post it anywhere, you own the copyright. You don't have to register it. So guess what that means? You go out on the web for a great picture for an illustration, you don't own the copyright. Copyright is assumed. So next week we'll talk about how to get copyright-free images. Copying, well, you've already learned that's not the cool thing to do. We'll talk about paraphrasing and citation. And it looks like you really don't need this page. You got 90% on that. Let's go on to what do you do to get it right? First, you take good notes. Plagiarism can be accidental when you know you read it somewhere, but you don't your brain because you think it's yours, but it's not. So when you're reading research for your papers, take good notes. You get a good idea, write it down. If it's a quote, put it in quotation marks. Write complete information on the source. That means the title, the author, title can be the title of the book, the title of the article, the title of the journal it's in, page numbers. If it's a journal, you'll really want to add the volume number and the issue number. The volume number will change generally every year, and the issue is the number of issues that come out each year. Peer-reviewed journals generally have 4 issues a year, so your choices are 1, 2, 3, and 4 for issue number. If it's a book, the publisher, take notes because you can't make it up. You're going to be under pressure the night before the paper students. Oh, where did I get that source? And you'll be tempted to make it up, and that's academic misconduct. All right. Another thing, and getting it right, paraphrasing and summarizing means more than changing a few words. Here, let's look at an example. Here's the original quote. Specifically, those students who frequently use ChatGPT are more likely to engage in procrastination than those who barely use ChatGPT. Similarly, students who frequently use ChatGPT also reported memory loss. In the same vein, students who frequently use ChatGPT for their academic tasks had a poor CGPA, or accumulated GPA. I did not make this up. This is an actual article, and I cited it in 2024. See, you wanted to use that idea in the paper, and you know it's not, your professors told you it's not a good idea to have a lot of quotes in your paper. Put it in your own words. Scratch your head and think, okay, let's change a few words. So you might write something like this. Students who use ChatGPT a great deal also procrastinated more than infrequent ChatGPT users. In the same way, students who often use ChatGPT said they had memory loss. In addition, they had a poor CGPA. Pretty similar, you just change a few words. And that might be something you can get away with in your 6th grade paper, but not now. Now, here's a better paraphrase. Higher levels of procrastination and memory loss, along with a low CGPA, are associated with frequent ChatGPT usage. See the difference? You've read it, you've absorbed it, you can say what it means. And that's a good strategy. You read it, and then in your mind say, this means, and then say, when you can do that, you're likely paraphrasing much better than, oh, what word can I change?
What if in your mind you can only take, so the explanation would be longer?
The explanation would be what? right here. But then you come back and you read it. Writing is recursive, researching in the library is recursive. You find some information, you read it, and as you work on your paper over several weeks, you become more and more familiarized with the material. And paraphrasing is going to become easier the better you know the material. Yeah. If you're writing the paper the night before, this is going to be very hard. Very hard to do. Okay. Use quotations sparingly. Your professor generally will give you a percentage, and it's fairly low, how much of your paper can be quotes. But what they're really after is not a group. It's that you are giving your own ideas. You're doing the research, you're pulling it together, and you're coming up with something new. Something that demonstrates your own learning. And so, a paper full of quotes isn't huge. So, use quotes sparingly when it really adds to the paper. Here's a decent use of a quotation. Curtis and Tremaine, and this is an actual use of a quotation. Curtis and Tremaine point out that, and here's their quote, point out that there are some substantial gaps in students' knowledge and causes for concern in rates of several forms of plagiarism, including sham paraphrasing, illicit paraphrasing, and contract cheating. So he's listed the kinds of paraphrasing that cannot be done. It makes sense to have that in a quotation because it's very specific. Here's a poor use of a quotation, and this is not one the authors did. This is one I did. I took it from there, but then I put in a quotation which would not have helped. Here's my paraphrase. In the field of education where artificial intelligence makes plagiarism unacceptable, then I quote, questions arise for which we have no answers. Is there any point to quoting questions arise for which we have no answers? I could have said that another way. I could have paraphrased it. There's nothing unique in that quotation that I needed in the paper. See the difference? Got it? Okay. Citations. How do you do that? There's citation styles, and students ask me, why can't the university just decide on one citation style so we don't have to learn all these different ones? Good question. Here we have the American Psychological Association. If you're in education or science or social science, you will usually be using that. Chicago Manual of Style or Turabian. If you're a theology major, this is the one you'll be using most. And Modern Language Association. English! right away. The date that it was published, not quite as important. We're still reading Shakespeare, and helped a number of students doing an essay on Beowulf. The Yellow Wallpaper was not written in the last 10 years. Okay. So we had the date a little further down. Whereas if we're in science or psychology or education, we want to know the date right away because that's important. Yeah, I see Dr. Dunker, biologist saying, yeah, we do not want those 20-year-old citations unless it's classic sometimes. So we have the date up there right away. Then we have the title of the article. Then we've got the title of the journal. Note that the journal is italicized. Books and journals, anything public, will be italicized. Then we have the volume number. And back when I was in university, yes, Dr. McDowell was there. He was actually my professor too. Yes, yes. We went to the library and we could go pull off a journal, and it looked like a journal, you know, it was in paper, and we could see it, and there were 4 issues for that one year, and it was easy to see, whereas now, it's like, you're thinking, what are those numbers? Well, this number here, 15, would tell me it's the 15th volume. Usually, okay, not always, let me emphasize not always, but usually this changes per year. So you'd know, oh, that's the 15th year publication, oops, and it is the 4th, it's the 4th issue that was published that year. That's what those numbers mean. Then you got the page number, and in the APA, here there's continuous pagination in journals. So issue number 1 will start with page 1, and then they just keep going through the pages. And that's how we can get page 1083 in an issue of a journal, because it's the 4th issue, and they kept continually paging the numbers from the 1st issue. Then, if we go to Chicago Manual Style, you'll see that it's a little kinder to you. It gives, this was actually published in July. It doesn't make you guess. And in the MLA, it also gives you that it's in July. And then the MLA says, I got this from an EBSCOhost database. And that gives you a very curious number here. When you see DOI, that stands for Digital Object Identifier. What does DOI stand for? Digital Object Identifier. Okay, You can have all kinds of versions out there. The digital object identifier will identify which version it is. How do you figure this all out? We have the style manuals. They are at the desk. They are on reserve. You can ask for them. Most databases will generate the citation for you. Here, let's see an example. Okay.
While that is loading, I just say I have no control over the AC. I don't know if there are any cars to be, but I believe it is a building thing. So maybe wear sweaters, winter is coming. Get ready for 40 below. Okay, cool.
Okay. This isn't going to show us anything. Yeah. All right. I was going to show you the actual database article and how you go to the right hand of the screen if you're in an EBSCO database. There's a little yellow icon partway down that says Cite that will do this for you. Most of our databases will. You just have to look for Cite This somewhere on the page. However, you need to know what it looks like.
Right here.
Yes, okay, thank you.
So yeah, sorry, and we're not using Mazapero. Okay.
So, click on Cite.
All right, this is a nice shortcut for all of your classes. I suggest you figure out where this is. Scroll down. So we have APA, Chicago, MLA. This is my favorite, right here.
All right. You still need to know how it's supposed to look. Going to your professor and saying, but I copied it, it has to be right, isn't going to work. There are some times when the title will all be in uppercase. You need to change that. Okay. Other resources, Catalysis Success Center, the Writing Center, me, the library, your professors. And this is a terrific site. Owl Purdue, you're in your room. It's midnight. You need to know how to cite something. Go here. It gives you great examples on all the styles. Owl Purdue, and OWL stands for Online Writing Center.
And again, these slides will be to you on YouTube.
Yeah. Then, one last thought. Think about what you're doing when you're developing your mind and your competencies when you are practicing academic integrity. God created you, but He didn't create you as a finished product. You are a